There we go. Now it works. Yeah, there we had a little glitch there, everybody. What's up? Welcome to the Sunday show, everybody. All things Fantasy Grounds talk show. And before we begin tonight, let me just do the disclaimer, which I like to do sometimes. Which is that this show is meant to teach and help, and that the opinions stated on the show by those of us here are not that of Smiteworks USA LLC or Fantasy Grounds. Before we get into the rebroadcast of the class, in which time we will be answering your questions, let me say ho to my two co-hosts tonight. The first of which is an original OG Sunday night show person, Mr. Leroon. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. Good to be back. Looking forward to the show, even though it's pre-recorded. Hopefully, we can answer your questions and talk crap about you when we don't have the mic on. And what else do we do?
That's right. We're gonna when the YouTube video plays, we're gonna turn the mics off and crack wise, everybody.
Yep.
But that's just because I don't want to interrupt myself, the voice you'll be hearing. But we will answer your questions in the chat, and then we'll come on after and close the show. And I will be playing Jackbox games after the show tonight, so if anybody's interested in that. Robin, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How was your day? I beat
It
you to it.
was all right. Actually, I really want to say something before this show starts, before
Okay.
you play the thing, that because I went when you did the coding class, I was in the Twitch chat during the coding class, and I'm going to warn the chat who's here now as we are about to replay this that I asked some dumb questions, y'all, because I'm not that smart, and Rob answered my questions during the stream. So I don't want anybody to judge me. Okay, that's all.
No judging, everybody. No judging. All right. I will go ahead and shut our voices off, and then we shall speak to you live again after the show runs. The show is an hour and 40 minutes, everybody, so it's pretty long. But there's a lot of people that ask questions at the end, and then also we will answer your questions in the chat as you come up with them. You're going to hear me say over and over, wait till the end, but that's just when I was teaching the class. If you guys have questions now, just ask them in the chat, and we'll get to that, and we'll see you on the other side, everybody. Look at that. Boom. 12 o'clock. All right. So thanks, everybody. There's some people in the Fantasy Grounds channel, Discord channel live. They'll be muted until the end. We do have moderators watching the Channel 1 Discord channel in FGC server Discord, and also the Fantasy Grounds College Twitch. So, welcome to the Rob Twohy Effects coding class. I would like to say, in addition to holding your questions to the end, if you would please take notes. If I say something that's confusing or you didn't quite understand it, just jot down a little note to yourself about that, and we'll go back to that at the end. Because I'm basically just going to run through this, nonstop until we're finished, and then we'll do questions at the end. Also, I would like to note to everybody that this is the first time I've ever taught this class. So if I don't do something like you think I should do, then just give me a break because it's my first time, but it should be fine. So before we jump into it, I would like to say a special thank you to John Waite, who is Matakuri in the forums and on the Discords and on DM's Guild. He is the person who came up with this particular curriculum himself, and then I sort of took it over and I adapted it slightly, but it's basically almost exactly what he had originally come up with, which is a lot of information, even some of which I didn't know as the creator of the Fantasy Grounds 5e coding package. I didn't even know some of this stuff, so it's pretty interesting. Also, this module will be available to those attending the class after the fact, so if you want to download it into your own Fantasy Grounds and look at it, if there's something that we didn't quite cover enough for you or whatever, it'll all be available to you, so you can do that as well. There's a link to the original curriculum, which I'll show here real quick, and it goes down through everything, and it has like screenshots and examples of how to do everything that's taught in the class and everything. Now, we're not going to go through that in the class, we will be talking about it, but there won't be any screenshots or anything like this. But that information is there for people if you want it, and we'll get that link to you. So this module also is available, and I'll give that at the end. So as we get started here, let me open a character sheet real quick. This just talks about the modes on the Actions tab. Most of you are probably familiar with it, but this just covered what the 3 modes are down here at the bottom: Standard, Preparation, and Combat. So you'll see me go through some of those perhaps as we go through the class. And then the displays are 3 different ones here: Group, Summary, and Actions. And that's just a different way to display the things on your Actions tab, and they have sort of different functionalities. And really quick is if you load it to Standard, that's everything on your sheet. If you go into Preparation mode, that's where you can take certain counters and tell it you want to do it, 5 times a day or 5 times per rest, or just only once, tick off 5 and it's over, or just whatever you want to do there. The combat mode is only the things that you have available to you, and this is especially true for spellcasters who might have certain spells prepared. Like I only have Bless and Cure Wounds prepared, not Entangle. So if I go to combat, Entangle disappears. So that's what that is. And then over in the settings, the group setting shows you all and basically these names are the same as the category that's on the bar. So these are the power pool, paladin stuff, items like that. So that's the groups. The summary is basically the same thing, only without the group, without the things in here. So you can add notes. So if you want to put a note there, it won't affect the category. So if I were to type in just a note, it's not going to change the category or anything. It's just something I can refer to later. That is a thing that I did not know before I went through the information on this class. And then the actions, of course, are the action buttons. So if you open the magnifying glass on any of them, you will see what this is. That's a particular heal for the Potion of Healing, 2d4 plus 2. But if you just have it really like this, it's sort of a compact way, like, oh, I know I need a healing potion, I can just go click that. So that's what that is. The weapons group header, for those that don't know, is if you click on this weapons magnifying glass right here in the header, it will open it up and give you the place where you can change your crit values. Like if you have champion for fighter, you can put 19s in there and you'll get a crit on any 19 or 20. And also extra dice for, I think the barbarian has melee extra dice in some cases if he gets a 20. But for homebrew, you can change those to any numbers. And so now let's go through and see. Let's see. This is basic, and the only reason I cover these now, this is just talks about everything that's in the class. So if you get this module, you can go down and go through everything. But everything is basically covered in the individual pages that I'm going to go through next. So standard properties for weapons. So if you're coding a weapon, here's the dagger, and if I open the magnifying glass for the dagger, we'll see here that it's got properties: finesse, light, and thrown. So these are all the different ones that you can put in there: ammunition, finesse, heavy, light, loading, reach, special, thrown, two-handed, and versatile, or versatile, if you like to say it that way. Those are pretty standard for almost any weapon that you use. Those will already be there. Special ones that you can add are magic, and how you would do that is if I wanted to add it, I would just comma magic like that. Even you do have to spell it right. Or if I wanted to do a reroll, like you see often reroll 2 like this. So if you add that in, when you roll the damage, it will re-roll any 1s and 2s one time. And crit range the same. So you can actually put crit range, so 18. So it'll crit on an 18. So that's just a couple little additions. All of this again is in the wiki, which I will have the link to as well. There is a wiki on the internet for Fantasy Grounds coding specifically that is very comprehensive, and most of it is here in this class. So now damage types, this is all the setup information. I know you guys are like, oh, you're not showing me coding, but this is all the setup information to get to it. I'm not going to read these and take the time to do that, but you guys all know there's 13 types of damage, basic damage for Fantasy Grounds for the 5e rule set, and that's all of these that you're all familiar with. And then there's some other ones that you might not be familiar with. Magic is used to mark damage as a magic to bypass resistances. So, for example, you'll have somebody who is resistant to bludgeoning and piercing and slashing unless it's magic. So then you can add magic to your thing and you'll do the damage. Silver, similar like that, like werewolves and stuff, is marked to bypass any resistance they have to non-silver weapons. Adamantine, same thing. And then cold forged iron, one I didn't even know about. But there are a couple monsters I think who who are have resistances or non-resistances to cold forged iron. So that is a damage that's a little odd as well. Also, just a side note, there is an extension for I believe made by Robin Nix, or it was her idea to make it on the DM's Guild, that you can add your own damage types. So you can actually put damage types into the damages of Fantasy Grounds. Not part of this class, but just to mention, because it was fun. Somebody had poop damage in their game, so that came up. All right, so modifiers. Now this is where you start getting into the really deep woods here, everybody. Modifiers that you can use, and I'll show you an example. Let me just open one of these codes here. Let's see. Which one would it be? Oh, Bless. Okay, so Bless has the attack modifier and the save modifier. So modifiers are used, and what happens is when you're looking at something in the combat tracker, like if I apply Bless to test PC, it's going to put that effect there like that. And what this does, this specific one, of course, Bless gives you an extra d4 on your attack and an extra d4 on your saves. It is a concentration spell that lasts 1 minute or 10 rounds. So that's what that all means. And it's all coded here, 1 minute, and you can apply that to any target. So Innate is initiatives, ATK is attack, AC is armor class, DMG is damage, heal is heal, save is save, skill is a skill check, and crit is crit damage, where you can set the minimum roll for a crit if you want to do that. They're all pretty self-explanatory. Check, strength. You guys all know the abbreviations for the abilities: strength, dex, con, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. And then damage type will allow you to put a code in for a specific, necrotic or acid or whatever it might be. DMGO is ongoing damage, so you can apply that to somebody so they take a certain amount of damage every time at the beginning of their turn, and you can do either a dice like a 1d4 or just a specific number like 5. Regen, same thing. At the beginning of their turn, they would regain so many hit points. Immune makes it so that they're immune to whatever types of damage, and you can even include all, but you can put immune, acid or immune fire. Resistance, same thing. That means they'll take half damage. Vulnerable, of course, they'll take double damage. Cover and S cover, which means superior cover, basically just gives the attacker a -2 or a -5, should those apply to whoever has the code on it. ADVINIT is advanced on your advantage on your initiative. So if you roll it, it gives you the 2 dice roll. Same thing with DISINIT, which is disadvantage on your initiative roll. Same thing with attacks, advantage and disadvantage. Grant advantage attack. Now this is really cool. I love this one because it grants advantage on attack rolls made against the person who has this code. And I think is it Bardic Inspiration or one of those Frostbite? Some of those have those even as cantrips, and you if you're successful or if they fail their save, you can apply that. Grant disattacks is opposite, right? It grants disadvantage on attack rolls made against whoever has this code. Advantage saves and disadvantage on saves. And you got to be careful if you're using these codes because you notice there's no E here, right? It's just SAV. So these codes are very specific and obviously have to be spelled exactly correctly to work. advantage on checks, disadvantage on checks, advantage on skill checks, and disadvantage on skill checks. And then really cool, advantage on death saves and disadvantage on death saves. So some other weird ones that are Fantasy Ground specific with their use, well, I guess I'm sorry, I don't want to mean to confuse people or myself, but Exhaustion, for example, is a code that you can put on there, and if you put Exhaustion 1 or Exhaustion 2, it will automatically give you disadvantage on your checks. If you put 3 or higher, it'll give you disadvantage on your checks and your attacks and your saves. And all the other things that come with having Exhaustion are not codable. So they're like a reduction in speed or whatever. Now, my coding package that I sell actually has the note, like, Exhaustion 1, speed reduced to 10 or whatever it is, or Exhaustion 2. And the interesting thing to note is that they are stackable. What I do as a best practice is I tell my players and DMs that you should, if you have Exhaustion 1, you go to Exhaustion 2, you should delete Exhaustion 1 and replace it with Exhaustion 2. Although they do stack, you can put Exhaustion 1 and Exhaustion 1, and that'll be Exhaustion 2. But if you have Exhaustion 1 and you put Exhaustion 2, it adds it, and that's Exhaustion 3. So that's why just replacing it is the best practice. C is obviously concentration. When you have this on a code over here, like Bless actually is a concentration one. So with that C there, it will automatically, when you take damage, it'll roll your save to see if your concentration is broken. And if it is broken, it will take the code away. And if it's not, it will leave it there. So that's really cool. Magic resistance is cool because if you have that code on your character, or if an NPC has it, it will automatically roll saving throws against anything magic with advantage. So that's really powerful. And DT is one I never heard of, and I don't think it's used in any code I've ever done, but it's important to note because you can set a damage threshold, so any amount that below that would be reduced to 0. So that's where you see that used a lot is on ships or vehicles, like a DT 20. If you roll 18 on that, it's going to give no damage. If you roll 25, it's going to give 5 damage because it just basically subtracts 20. And all of these things here, it's a dice, it's a number or dice. It's all there for you to reference. And again, here in this module, obviously, and also in the wiki, which I'll give the link to. And it gives you what parameters you can put for each of those. Sometimes there are only certain things, like an ability is obviously going to be only one of the 6 abilities, or damage type only one of the 17 damage types that we know about, or any ones that you would add yourself if you ever did that. So there we go. I know I'm going fast, everybody, but it's a lot of information, and I want to get through it for you so that we can answer your questions at the end. Next thing is conditions. So Fantasy Grounds has, you see these up here in the conditions right here, all these that you guys are used to seeing. Most of these do, I think all of them do automatic things, but you can also use them as part of any coding that you would have or that you would make. So Blinded does automatically grants advantage attack and disadvantage attack to anybody who's blinded. Charmed actually does nothing. It's just a marker so that you know that you're charmed. Same with Deafened. Deafened doesn't really have a code, but it's there to be used. Encumbered does all this stuff. I mean, if you're encumbered, you're in a world of hurt because you just can't do anything. Frightened gives you disadvantage attack and disadvantage on your checks. Incorporeal means that you resist all damage, take half damage. Intoxicated, or drunk, as I like to call it, but you can't use the word drunk, you must use intoxicated, is disadvantage on your attacks, disadvantage on checks. Invisible is, what happened? Where did I go? Here it is. Advantage on your attacks, and you also grant disadvantage attacks. And it's important to note, there's a big thing in Fantasy Grounds, and just in 5e in general, but especially in Fantasy Grounds, when you're invisible, your DM might actually want to do stuff with monsters where they don't show you the token or anything. But remember that invisibility is just a condition. It doesn't mean that you can't be attacked. So it's built into the game. If you're invisible, you can still be attacked. You just be attacked at disadvantage. And if you attack, you'll attack at advantage. But then when you do, you won't be visible anymore in most cases, unless you have greater invisibility. But just a side note on that. Paralyzed will automatically mean that you're prone and that you grant advantage on attacks against you, and you automatically fail strength and dex saves as well. So instead of having to type all that in, you just use the word paralyzed. Poisoned just means you're disadvantaged attacks and checks. Prone, of course, everybody knows you. If somebody melee attacks you, you're in a bad situation. But if they attack you at ranged, they'll get disadvantage because you're on the ground. Restrained will grant advantage attack on you, give you disadvantage on attacks, and disadvantage on dexterity saves. But even though you're restrained, you can still attack. A lot of people fail to realize that they can still do stuff if they're restrained. Stable will just stop someone from making death saves. Stunned is very bad. Stunned means you grant advantage attack and also fail on strength and dex saves, and I believe also you can't take actions if you're stunned. Unconscious just means you're prone and you grant advantage attacks and automatically fail the saves. And then Exhaustion 1 we already covered kind of, so there's Exhaustion 4 through 6. If you get Exhaustion 6, it's never going to be anything that's put on your character because you're dead, and that's it. So there you go. Okay, now the PC specific stuff is all pretty easy. Strength, dex, con, int, wiz, charisma, and level. If you put that in a code, it'll change that to a number. So say you want to do an attack that does 5 damage plus your strength. You would put 5 plus STR or STR 5, and then it would just calculate it and make it a 9 or whatever the number would be. So pretty cool. Also, any class name, it'll put the number of level you are in that class. PRF is obviously your proficiency, and H is a half, and 2 through 9 is twice. So a lot of times you see double proficiency, 2 PRF or H PRF. But these modifiers will basically modify any tag, and also negative will work as well. So that's really cool to know. It's very powerful stuff once you get into it. So here's some examples. H, STR, half strength, minus dex, negative dex. Con is just your con number. 3 times your wisdom modifier, or negative 2 times your intelligence modifier. So there's just some examples that you can kind of see how those work together. Okay, now, yeah, so special components. We're going to cover this a little bit later as a whole section, but you can basically say if some condition or another conditional operator, and it ignores the remainder of the effect components within a effect label unless the source actor has the specified condition. So for example, you see like the weapon that says if undead add an extra d8 or something like that, you can see. This one here ignores the remainder of the effect components with the effect label unless the opposing actor has the specified condition. Now the difference is IF and IFT. So if, which is me, or if target, which is the person that you're attacking or trying to make a save on or whatever. So again, kind of confusing if you don't know what that's all about, but we'll go that in more in depth here in just a minute. These are really cool. Dodge is very common, and if you put dodge on yourself, you'll just it'll do all the things that, it'll grant you saves on dexterity and grant disadvantage attacks to anybody trying to attack you, unless you're any of these conditions, like you can't be paralyzed or stunned and all that to dodge. Now, avoidance and evasion, some people get those confused sometimes. These are mostly rogue things, but if you have avoidance, I'll just read it. If spell targeting creature with this effect allows half damage on a save, then the creature will be marked for no damage on a successful save and half damage on a failed save. So really cool. Evasion, I think, is a little higher level than that. If a spell targeting a creature with this effect allows half damage on a save, the save type is dexterity, then the creature will be marked for no damage on a successful save and half damage on a failed save. So my bad. Evasion is the less powerful one. Evasion only works for dexterity saves. Avoidance works for all magic. So there you go. Avoidance is the one you want. That's higher level. Okay. Conditional operators. Oh my god, you guys. This one I didn't. I'm going to see if I can open this up a little bit. There we go. This one I didn't want to really get into because this is super complicated stuff and stuff that you might not use, but I'll just explain it. So try to avert your eyes from over here because it's really simple. If you use alignment or align, sorry, you can put an alignment there, and so these are operators that you would use in other codes. So for example, if you said alignment, chaotic evil, if that was true, it would return a true result and then therefore be used within another code to do something or not do something. Whereas if you put alignment chaotic evil and the person was good, it just wouldn't do it. Same thing with size. You can do, size small, medium, large, gargantuan, whatever, and greater than or less than. You can really manipulate this stuff, and it gets really deep into the woods. This class that I'm teaching today is not advanced coding; it's just coding. So this would be a whole thing by itself. But suffice to say, if you do decide to use that, here's the information on what it does. Here's how to do that. And the wiki also has the same information and might have in-depth examples. Type, it refers to creature type. So you can actually put a code that will affect or not affect any of these aberration, beast, celestial, construct, a dragon, elemental, fey. It goes through all the different types of creatures that there are, and maybe it's not even a comprehensive example because I don't even see the word undead in there, but whatever it might be, it will work for that. So you can basically single out different types of monsters rather than having it apply to all monsters. So the last three here, people are familiar with Bloodied if you played 4th edition, and actually Bloodied isn't even a thing in 5th edition, but the code will still work. So if you say, is the target bloodied, it will give you a true or false result if their hit points are less than half, right? Wounded, same thing. If they have any wounds at all, it'll show that they're wounded. And then the custom operator is used for stuff that isn't in the game, or maybe you want to make it up yourself. For example, I do use it in Hex and Hunter's Mark, I believe, so that you can say, when you hex somebody, it'll put a hex modifier on them over here in the combat tracker, and then you can put a code that says, if so-and-so is hexed, then do this. That way, if you're attacking a bunch of different people in a battle, but your code only affects a person that's hexed, it'll do it for that person, but not for everybody else. So you can really get finite in your detail about which combatants are affected and which aren't. So just really cool stuff. And again, I feel I've said it a couple times, but I feel I must say again that we're just flying through this, and I'm doing that specifically so that we can get questions at the end and maybe show some examples. But if I stopped and we talked about all this as we went, the class would be 14 hours. So here's what I said we were gonna the if and if t examples. So these are specific examples that will kind of help you understand exactly what these kind of things can do. So this code, if this was in the combat tracker, as a code on somebody, if poisoned, disadvantage on wisdom saves, right? So this will test to see if the character has the poisoned effect on him or her, and if so, he or she will roll wisdom checks at disadvantage. Any of the conditions recognized by Fantasy Grounds can be tested this way. So that would be if it was on yourself. So say, you're in a campaign and you're DM tells you, uh-oh, you've got a disease now that affects your wisdom, and if you are ever poisoned, then you will have disadvantage on wisdom save. So you put this on your character and just leave it there. And then if you're not poisoned, nothing happens. But if you are, until you get rid of the poison condition, you're going to have disadvantage on saves on wisdom. So here's, if the target is intoxicated, you have advantage attack. So you would apply this to yourself, and anybody that you attack that is intoxicated, you would have advantage on attacks. So that's just another example. Here's one. If the alignment is good, I do an extra D8 radiant damage when I attack the person. So that's pretty awesome. If the target is a giant, I do an extra D8. So that you just have to get used to the way the context is written. Like I'm saying it in English. You know, if the target is a giant, then I do an extra D8 damage, rather than saying IFT:TYP, you know, because it doesn't mean anything to anybody. But you get used to how these are done, and if you have homebrew stuff, or, you know, special weapons that you make up, or, you know, some feat that you invent or stuff like that, you can just really code these all out. You know, when I did the coding packages, I only did obviously the Wizards of the Coast 5th edition main books that are official releases. I didn't do UA, and I obviously can't do homebrew stuff for people, because where would it end? How would I even know? You know, get 1,000 requests a day. So rather than that, just teach a class and let everybody know all this information on how they can do it. Another example is, if the creature I'm attacking is medium, I have advantage on attack. Sorry, if they're medium or larger than that. So medium, huge, giant, gargantuan, whatever they are. If they were small or tiny, then I would not have advantage. Damage 1d6 radiant. If it is a dragon, add 2d6 more radiant. So if I attacked a dragon here, this would be 3d6 radiant. So that's how that works. And believe it or not, guys, we're almost done. Well, so now there's shift drag. Holy moly. So this is just really into the weeds, but so cool if you learn how to master doing it. So I'm just going to read this. Effect targeting can be used to force an effort to only apply to specific targets. This capability can often be more easily implemented using if-t custom instead, but just so that everybody knows how to do this, effect targeting can only be used with the following effect modifiers: attack, armor class, damage, invisible, resist, vulnerability, immune, cover, superior cover, advantage attack, disadvantage attack, grant advantage attack, grant disadvantage attack. When using the effect targeting, it is critical to be sure of where the effect should be applied. You don't want to mistakenly grant bonuses to attack or damage to an enemy, for example. So I'm just going to take a real sip of water here, everybody, because I've been talking for 30 straight minutes. Sorry if you heard the swallow noises. So an example is True Strike. Now I think I have Strike here. I should. Do I? Yes, I do. Okay. So let's see. So the True Strike spell reads as follows. On your next turn, you gain advantage on your first attack roll against the target, provided that the spell hasn't ended. Because I think it's like a 1-minute concentration spell, isn't it? Perhaps not. Okay, well anyway, I don't use True Strike very often. Looking at the definition of the spell, the caster gains advantage on the first attack roll against the target. No other attacker should get that advantage. Also, the caster does not gain advantage against any other creature, only the target of the spell. So you're thinking, wow, this gets really complicated. So there's the Player's Handbook implementation and then my implementation, and I'll show you the difference on how they're used. In the PHB version of True Strike, the spell effect is target advantage attack C. Although the C isn't there, I guess, but here it is right here. This effect spell is set to target self and expand on next roll. Yes, it is. The TRGT portion of the effect is simply a reminder of what the effect should be using the effect. should use effect targeting. The effect is applied by holding down the shift button and dragging it to the effect of the target. When the effect is applied in this manner, the effect will appear on the caster and will indicate that its target is the target. Now watch, I'll show you what that means. So I'm going to take this code right here. I'm going to hold the shift key, and I'm holding the shift key, and I'm dragging this to the Wraith, but it will appear on DMPC. So isn't that weird? Like, I dropped it here. Why is it here? Well, because it's telling you advantage on the Wraith, but nothing else. So if I attack, let's go get a weapon here. Whoops, top of the up here. If I attack with my longsword, the pseudo dragon, I did not get advantage, 1 die. But if I attack Wraith, you should see 2 dice, right? And that effect disappeared. So there you go. That's pretty cool. To be able to do attacks on anybody in the game, but only have that attack work, for that one person. It's important to note that for this spell, the ADV ATK effect needs to appear on the caster, so that the attacks made will have advantage if you do not shift drag the effect, and instead of just click the effect button, the caster would have advantage on the next attack against any target, right? So that's the difference. Now the Twohy implementation, there are multiple ways to implement the same effect. In the Twohy spell effects coding pack, the True Strike spell effect is True Strike grant advantage attack. See here. And the effect is set to apply to target and set to expire on next roll. The main differences are that grant advantage attack is being used instead of advantage attack, and the effect is set to apply to target instead of self. In this case, we want to ensure the effect grant advantage attack is properly being applied to the target, not the caster. To apply it properly, let's make sure the caster is properly targeting the creature in the combat tracker. Okay, so let's do that. I, DMPC, am going to attack the Acolyte. So I will control click that, which should work. Does it not? Oh, wait. These are all invisible. There we go. Still not working. Not sure why. Uh-oh. First glitch in the class, everybody. I think maybe they have to be... Oh, it has to be my turn? Is that it? No, I keep hitting the end. There we go. Okay. So I'm targeting the Wraith. Just so everybody knows what happens there is the monsters need to be visible, and obviously it had to be my turn to do that. So, okay, now I've done that. Shift drag the effect to the caster, not the target. Okay, so in my case, I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going to drag this effect to me, and it applied it to the target. So it's basically just the reverse of the way we did it before. So you can do it either way. Since the effect is marked as applying to target, when it is shift dragged to the caster's entry on the combat tracker, it will create the effect of the creature that is targeted and will be marked as being targeted by the caster. It's important to note for this spell, the grant advantage attack effect needs to appear on the target so that the attacks against the target have advantage, but only from the caster. If you do not shift drag to the caster, instead just click the effect button, the grant advantage attack effect will be applied to the target, but for everybody, so not just the caster. Within the player's handbook, there's only 4 spells that indicate effect target should be used. That is True Strike, the one we're doing now, Hunter's Mark, Hex, and Chill Touch. So let's show that. So I DMPC should get advantage on him, but before I do that, I'm gonna have the pseudo dragon attack the Wraith, and you will not see advantage, just 1 die. But if I do it, 2 dice, and the effect went away. So it's only for the 1 time. So there you go, everybody. That's a super complicated example of how that works. But guess what? It is so nice to be playing a game and have your True Strike on, and then say to yourself, okay, I just need to attack and play. I don't need to worry about it. As opposed to, oh wait, this is the guy. I gotta mark advantage, and oh wait, no, I'm not attacking that guy. I'm attacking the other guy. So no, you don't have to really think about it. It just makes it nicer. And there's only a couple examples of that in the game. All right. The if custom, we talked a little bit about this, but same thing. You can apply Hunter's Mark to somebody, and then you can apply to yourself the if the target is marked as Hunter's Mark, then I get an extra 1d6 whether it's melee or ranged. So that's just an example of how that works. So we kind of already covered that. And you can do custom anything. You can put, you know, you can mark somebody with a hole, and then you can say, if the target is a hole, I want an extra 6d20, whatever you want to do. So that's that. Now, this is a page that scares me. But I'll go through it because it's information that you would like to know. So Fantasy Grounds does latch onto certain keywords and phrases in traits and actions and creates effects from those words when they appear in the combat tracker. So for users wishing to create their own NPCs, the following contains guidance on how to use these effects. So I don't do this myself very much. I mainly concentrate on players. But if you want to make monsters, you just need to be able to make sure that when you write these monsters, and like if you're using something like it used to be called NPC Engineer, now it's called Engineer Suite. If you're using something like that to make the monsters, most of this stuff is done for you. It's pretty automatic the way they have it set up. But if you're just creating monsters from scratch, you need to follow these specific things. And I'm not going to read all these out loud and bore everybody, but you guys know how, like, if you've used Fantasy Grounds enough, especially as a DM, you know that sometimes when third-party modules get created, they have the wording slightly off, and then so the monster stat block doesn't work. For a good example, and one that's very common, is where is it? Saving throws. So here, basic save. The target must make a DC 10 concentration saving throw. A lot of times you'll see the target must make a DC 10 con save or something. It has to be exactly written this way. So if you use the word save instead of saving throw, that will not work. So all of these things that you do for weapon attacks, saving throws, conditions, damage, and immunities and resistance and healing, all of them have to be exactly written the way they're supposed to be, and whatever the player's handbook or dungeon master's guide would say, or monster manual, it has to be that exact phrasing and wording, and there can't be any misspellings. Fantasy Grounds is very exact, so you have to just make sure. Now another one that people have crazy fits with is spellcasting and innate spellcasting. And again, this is all for NPCs. This is not for player characters. So this just follows the wording and the exact phrasing that you have to use. And I've just had fits pulling my hair out sometimes when because I said I don't really create that many monsters, but I do make modules. Like I made the creature codex for the Smiteworks, and you gotta, this didn't work, and then why. Or somebody will put on the forums, hey, this spell doesn't work, or this saving throw doesn't work, and I go and I look, and it's because the word save was spelled wrong or whatever, and I'm just copying and pasting it out of a PDF. So, I'm not scrutinizing every single word. So then when I have to go back and fix it, but it's all here on how to set that up. And when you do spell casting or innate spell casting, you do have to put in the sentence at the beginning with that exact information, spelled that same way, same punctuation. Can't be a period, got to be a colon, that kind of thing. Up here it's got to be a period, can't be a colon. And the difference between spellcasting and innate spellcasting is you're listing out the levels here, and then down here you're putting what the spell names are and how many times a day. At will is the same as cantrips. So, but it doesn't have to be a cantrip. You can put like fireball at will, and they can just do it all the time. And then other ones they can only use certain times a day. And then other traits, last thing is magic resistance. We talked about magic weapons, which can include the magic tag. Recharge is really cool because you see that sometimes with monsters. A recharge ability will be, so if it's recharge 5, once you use that power on an NPC, it will put a recharge 5 or recharge 4 or whatever it is next to it. And then every time the turn comes around in the combat tracker to that NPC again, it'll roll a d6, and if it gets the number or higher, it'll reset the power and take the recharge off. But if it doesn't, it leaves it there. So you always know, if the power has been used or not. And then a special Gnome Cunning, I don't even know what this is. When this trait is present, the actor will have advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws against magic. Oh, so you just put that on the NPC as a trait, and you don't have to do anything. It just does it automatically. So I think that's it. I think that's the end, everybody. I think we're going to get to your questions now. There is a link to the Fantasy Grounds Wiki, which I'll show here on screen. The 5e effects, and I mean, it just basically, you can read this out. It's way more in depth than what I just covered, but most of what I cover, all of what I covered is in here, and then it's got some other stuff in there too. You'll recognize some of this from what we just saw. And then down at the bottom especially, and this is basically how I started to make the coding packages, was I just went through this stuff and figured it out. And it took me, all said and done up to today, I put over 1,000 hours into creating that. So it was a massive project, and it's still ongoing. And of course, I dread the day another Splat book comes out, because then I got to go do all that stuff. But really awesome, super helpful to people. And you can buy this stuff. I'll show you where you can buy it if you want. But to make your own, the reason for the class is to just sort of share with everybody that it can be done for your special homebrew campaigns, or whatever you want to do. Here is the package itself on DM's Guild. Now, this package is all the codes. So I think the moderators can put in the Twitch chat the link for this. So you can buy these individually. So I have the codings for the class features, for feats, for all the race traits, and all the spells. Yes, every spell. And then I have all items, and they're broken out. Adventuring gear, armor, potions, rings, rods, staffs, wands, weapons, wondrous items. Now, if you want to see what one of these is like and not pay any money and just check it out, I believe the rods the one that's pay what you want. It's free. So rods is free. If you want to just there's only like 9 codes in there, but if you want to go get that and check it out, you can. So again, you can buy those all individually, but I do have a package where if you buy all of them, you save 15% on everything. So again, not necessary. You absolutely don't need these, but I think any Fantasy Grounds DM and probably most players will tell you that yes, you do need these. I've done very well with selling these, and people are pretty excited about being able to do that. And then I'll have the links. I'll have the links for the coding curriculum and a link to this class module. As a matter of fact, let's give that now. Let me give that to you guys in the classroom chat on Discord, because this module that we just taught from can be got there. So let me figure out why I can't see anything in here. And once I do that, classroom 1, here we go, right here.
The other classroom 1.
There we go. So put that link in the Twitch chat for people. And then with that, I believe we can open it up to questions. So 45 minutes, that's about what I thought. And then it's going to be another 45 minutes of questions, I'm sure. So I'll field people's questions. And if you guys want to feed those to me, the moderators, I'll take them as they come.
All right, Rob, we've got one in the chat. Question concerning coding aspect for the feat Elemental Adept. For some reason, the feat is not applying a bypass to the resistances of monsters resistant to the damage type. Example given, guy is Elemental Adept Fire, but the monsters he's fighting with fire resistance, it is not bypassing their resistance. Is there something for that?
Okay, let's get into that. Now, is Elemental Adept, what is that? It is a
feat.
It's a feat, okay. So let's get that open here. Feats. And I'll close this, and I'll go to my I'll go here. I'm gonna go to, so that I don't, in case I teach this class again, I don't want to screw up the PC, so I'll make a new one here. Call it test. Okay, let's go get the elemental adept feat, which is here. Okay, elemental adept targets do not resist my edit damage type, and ones count as 2s on this damage type. Okay, now please read the question again.
Let me pull it back up here. Question concerning coding aspect for the feat of the elemental adept. For some reason, the feat is not applying a bypass to the resistance. I'm assuming that means he's not adding that effect that you have right there.
Yeah, no. So I'm glad this is a great question, because this actually isn't an effect. This is a note. This is a note saying targets do not resist my edit, meaning acid, fire, whatever the damage would be, type, and ones count as 2s on his damage type. So what you would do is you would open this, and you would, anytime you see the word edit, and this is all in the instructions of the module, anytime you would see the word edit, you would change it to, fire or whatever it is, and then you would apply it to yourself. Oh wait, I'm not in the combat tracker. There we go. So basically, you're putting a note on your character that lets everyone see targets do not resist my fire damage, and ones count as 2s on this damage type. Now, the problem is there is no way to code that. There is no such thing as a code that says override resistance, or you just can't do it. So I suppose now that I think more about it, I could change this. Wow, this is great. I might have to change this, because I'd have to test to see if it works, but this could maybe be something like if target resists fire, then I attack with, say, vulnerable fire damage. Yeah, I don't see that really being a thing. I think originally this is why I did this, because there's just no way to code it. So that's an excellent question, and I'm glad it was asked, because sometimes the answer is you can't do it. There's just no way to get it done. If anybody can figure that out, please tell me, but I think I probably tried that. I seem to recall like 3 years ago, even though I have the worst memory ever in the entire planet of Earth, but that was so traumatic to me that I tried to make that happen and couldn't do it. So if anybody can, please let me know. But I think that's why I came up with just this note, because basically you're gonna have to do that manually. If you're attacking somebody, and you have the feat, and they resist your certain damage type that you've chosen, then yeah, it's acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. So if you have that feat, you basically just have to, do the combat, and if somebody resists it, you just have to say to the DM, hey, they don't resist that, and make it the full damage, or give them the damage again, something like that. Which is super unfortunate, but some stuff in Fantasy Ground, even though Fantasy Ground is the greatest program on earth to me anyway, it's the best VTT and probably the single best tool I've ever purchased as a computer program. It's not a god, and it can't just do everything. So thank you for that question, but I think unless somebody figures out a way that's watching that knows the coding as well as I do and how to get that done, I can't wrap my head around how to do that.
And the response I'm getting in the chat from Matakuri, the only way to handle that is with an extension, and he has linked an extension. I believe it's a Kent extension.
Oh, well, there you go, everybody. So I'll need to add in, and by the way, for all of Diablo Bob's DM tools and critically awesome essentials, stuff like that, and also Kent McCullough's extensions, anything that applies to my coding packages has been done, and they're in there, so you can use that. And if you don't have them, it won't screw up the codes, or you won't even see it when you open the code that has that. You won't even see it. Like where's an example? I don't think there is any in the feats, but in the spells for sure there are. and some of the class features. And then in my Discord, I actually have a channel in the Rob Twohy Discord that's called Kent Stention's Outsource. And you can come in here, and if you see one that we don't have in the codings that works with his extension, like this, you can come in there and type it, and we'll get it added in. But yeah, so that's that answer. What else we got? What happened? It's over? No more questions? Can't be true.
Anybody that's all we had was the one big question.
Wow,
that wasn't
really?
all
Oh, wow. So everybody's good to go now then. Everybody knows how to code your homebrew stuff, and no one's ever going to contact me and say, hey, how do you do this? Because I'm answering all your questions right now. Nobody has any questions. Everybody's geniuses, Wildrunner says, Windrunner. Wow, that I did not expect. I expected to fully sit here for like another hour going through examples, but I'm happy to not do that if nobody needs it. And also this video will obviously be on YouTube, and people won't really be able to, are they gonna scream at their Yeah, Drake, that's right. I'm just not that great of a teacher. My mother was a school teacher, and I did not get that gene, everybody. I've always said that I can't be a school teacher because the minute I told a kid 2 + 2 is 4, and he went, why? And I'd be like, no, it's 4. Just learn it. And then came back to me, what was 2 + 2 again? I'm out. You're stupid, and I'm fired. I couldn't do it. Well, I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Looks like we got one question coming in. I got 3 people typing.
Okay, hit it. And is this from the Twitch chat or from the Classroom 1?
They're coming in from Classroom 1 now.
Okay.
They're bringing them over from Twitch and putting them in the classroom.
Got it.
So what is the very first thing about adding a note to an action? You said you did not know this before today.
Adding a note to an action. Oh God, if I only remembered what he's talking about.
This came from Svenster.
Spencer, he's probably just trolling me.
Absolutely possible.
It was something to do with the Actions tab. So open up your Actions tab, and there was something in there that you were describing.
I remember the thing here. Hold on, I just need to see it. I have to see I remember saying I didn't even know that, and it was like some DT thing at the bottom of a screen. No.
Oh, Matacurious, it's about the effect to give a reminder to the player DM, which doesn't have an actual effect. So DT was damage threshold.
Oh no, yeah, damage threshold. I knew that. I just remember. I remember just looking at something at the bottom of a page and going, "Yeah, I didn't know that." What was it? See, unfortunately my brain doesn't work like most people's brains. I'm sort of a
first 3 minutes of the stream. Was
Yeah,
that back on
it totally
Cold Forged Iron?
He said it was on the first page.
Right. That's right. It was here. Well, yeah, I do remember. Yeah, this is what I said. I didn't even know that was a thing, Cold Forged Iron. So, adding a read the question again, please.
Let's see.
I can't see
what
the
was
question.
The very first thing about adding a note to an action? You said you did not know this before today. And I'm getting other comments that it was like in the first 3 minutes of the stream on the first page of the curriculum. In the action tab display, you can select group, summary, etc. In the summary, you
I
can
know
write
what
a
he's
note.
talking about. Okay, yes, thank you. Okay, I'm tuned in now. So here's what I didn't know before. So if you go to the Actions tab, which we're looking at here, and you go to Group, which has all of the, these are power tools, power tool, power pool. These are spells, right? If you change to Summary, I'm like, what's the difference between Summary and Group except for the fact that these names aren't here. Like, why would you need that? What's the point? Well, the point is, on the summary page, you can type a note in here. This power is awesome, or whatever. And it doesn't affect anything. It's just a note. It doesn't change the thing. Whereas on the group thing, if I type something in there, if I type Paladin here, it's gonna, as soon as I click out of it, it's gonna move Firebolt from up to Paladin like that. See, and even Paldane, which is how I spelled it, Paldane, because I'm a moron. Paladin. So watch me click out, and it'll just put it up there. See, so that's the difference. Is on the summary page, you can actually type anything you want in these notes over here for whatever reason you would want to do that, and it won't affect anything. And I absolutely did not know that till today. So that's what I was talking about.
Gotcha. Apparently that is a holdover from before they had spell linking.
Yeah, don't know anything about that. That's probably
Yeah.
a 2004 Fantasy Grounds thing, before they took it over. Okay, Sven, yeah, now I'm looking at the Twitch chat, which I never looked at the whole entire class, obviously, but I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it did not change the label exactly.
Rob, do you want me to unmute like Matakiri and Drake?
Yeah, you can
or-
unmute everybody, actually. Yeah, I just everybody should be off mute now. I just didn't want to have during the class I didn't want to stop to answer any questions. But yeah, now everybody can weigh in if you'd like. And thank you, Matakiri, for being here. I did not know he was going to be here today, but he was the original author of this awesome curriculum, and because of him, I didn't have to do hardly any work. I just had to stumble through the presentation, and then my work comes in now where I answer questions.
All right, another question coming in here. Some items and spells change the base stats, such as strength, dex, etc. Is there an extension that introduces a real version of the stat, real strength or real dex, to the character sheet so that you can change your stat checks while the effect is active and change them back after the effect expires? So I think that's just the STR and then add the modifying number, correct?
Yes. So how you would do that is if your strength is a 16 and you want it to be a 20 for a certain amount of time, you would just do strength 4 like that. And basically that'll make your strength 20 until you remove it. So let's see if I'm right about that. Let's test that.
And you can set a duration on that as well.
You can,
So if
yeah.
it's only good for 1 minute, you set it for 1 minute.
Exactly. You can totally do that. So now let me see if I'm right about that. I just want to see here. So my strength is a 10. So if it's a 14, I should get a +2 on any attack roll. Is that not right? So let's see if I do. +2 +4 effect +2. Yes. Now if I take that off, it's going to go back to +2 on over here. Yep. Okay, so there you go. So that is how you can affect your real stat. Most people want to do this, which is come over here and change it to a 14. But now you got to go somewhere and make a note. My original strength is 10, and you got to go through all this. So don't do that. Don't change your strength. Just
That
go.
is exactly what I'm trying to avoid. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So there you go. That's how you do it, and you can do that with all 6 abilities. So if you want to up your charisma, same thing. You just add a code CHA. Goes from say it's a 14 and you want it to be a 20. You just add 6 like that.
This is important when you're implementing some of the magic items that give you a flat, like gauntlets of ogre strength or something.
Exactly.
The description says 20. So you have to calculate, I'm at a 12, it's going to give me a 20, so I need to make it 8. And that's going to be different for every character.
Right. So, like, for example, I'll open the wondrous items coding here, and I'll show you exactly what he's talking about. It's wondrous. Do you guys does that ever bother anybody? It's not wondrous, it's wondrous. That's always bothered me.
Yes, exactly.
Don't like it. English. Also, I get emails. I swear to God, I get one email a week. It's staves, not staffs. And I try not to swear at people or get nasty, but no, it's fucking staffs. Go look it up. There's no place in D&D 5th edition anywhere. It's not even, the word isn't even in the player's handbook. There's no staves. It's staffs with 2 Fs. Even though that's not right grammatically, that's how they do it. All right, let's look at, don't email me that, by the way. Now I'm going to get 6 emails just because people troll me. All right, wondrous items. So let's go to, what did you say that was? Gauntlet of Ogre Power?
Yeah, Gauntlet of Ogre Strength, I believe.
Okay, first of all, you have to know how to spell gaunt. G-A... Gauntlets. Okay, here we go. So now if I take my test, no, not this guy, test PC. Put on there Gauntlet of Ogre Power. Yeah, so see? It says Gaunts of Ogre Power, Strength X. Edit X equals 19 minus your current strength. So if your current strength is 16, you would make this a 3. And then apply the effect. And then you would see here Gauntlets of Ogre Power, Strength 3. So let's say his strength was actually 16. So that's a +3. Now a 19 is a +4, I believe, right?
3. No, 4. You're right.
Yeah. So
At 20, it becomes 5.
even though my strength is a +3, I now have the code telling me to add 3 to my strength, making it a 19, so that takes it to a +4 modifier. Now when I roll the attack on a weapon that I don't have... Okay, hold on.
Should apply to a skill
yeah,
too.
I'll just add that code. I just want to add that code to the other character here. Hold on a second. Wait, okay. See, you guys, I get so confused. No, I can't take any calls right now. Gauntlets of... Let's go here and do that. All right, now I just have to make sure the strength is 16 there. Okay. Now, when I roll the attack, the dagger attack should be a +4, if I'm not mistaken. +6. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's already got my strength in there, so it was already my proficiency. Yeah, the point is that it's a +5 attack, but it gave me a +6 because it's raising, by having the strength 3 in there, it's basically raising my modifier by 1. So normally the attack would be a +5, but here it's a +6. And you see it says effects +1. So there you go. And so, yeah, Gauntlets of Ogre Power already programmed for you. And if you have the new extension that was published just prior to this class, which I'd like to mention to everybody, it's called Fantasy Grounds Mad Nomads Automatic Actions Tab Additions. What this does is, when you receive the Gauntlets of Ogre Power and put it on your inventory tab, this extension automatically searches my Rob Twohy codings, and if there is a coding for it, puts this here for you. It does that for all feats, all class traits, class features, all race traits, and all items. And it would do it for spells, but there's no such thing as a spell that you put in your inventory or is given to you by your making character. And by the way, this happens when you're making characters. It's amazing. It's just fantastic. So search for that, everybody.
So Remedy's typed into the chat in Twitch. Question: doesn't the charisma 6 or cha 6 only affect the charisma modifier though?
Yes, when you put this in your So if I put charisma 6 like this, all that is doing is adding that number to your current charisma. So if your charisma is 10, it's now been made a 16 temporarily, and when you take that off, it goes back to 10. So anything you do, any save you make, any check you make, any spell you use, anything that involves your charisma will be altered by whatever that number is. If I want to raise my intelligence because I'm a super wizard and I just got some magic hat that gives me extra intelligence for an hour, I can put an extra 10 on my intelligence, and my intelligence, even though it says 10 here, is now 20. And then when I take it away, back to 10.
It's an important thing for people to remember that it does not change what it says on the character sheet. It's
Right.
applied when you make the roll.
Yes, and also, and that happens all the time. And a good example and a common example is Ring of Protection or Cloak of Protection. All the time, people forget, and they look at their character sheet and they're like, my AC is only 10. Why isn't it 11? Well, it is. It says 10 here, but then on here, the cloak adds AC 1 and save 1. So you got to remember everything that's in the combat tracker. 99% or possibly even 100% of everything that's ever in the combat tracker will not change the appearance of any of the numbers on your sheet. They're modifiers that happen when you roll dice.
All right, so Zardock has asked a couple of questions. First one, why don't you work for Smiteworks, Rob?
That is an excellent question. I kind of do. I am not an employee of Smiteworks, but I am a social media coordinator for them, and all of the Fantasy Grounds Fridays tips that you guys see on Twitter and Facebook, I do those. I also monitor and control the Facebook, not Facebook, Twitter Smiteworks Fantasy Grounds account. So every time you see all the retweets from stuff, and basically anybody that ever tweets anything that tags Fantasy Grounds, I read that and I like or retweet it if I think it's appropriate. I usually don't do that if it's negative or if you guys know social media. You know what a minefield that is. It's it's just I can't get into it. But yeah, I
On
do
that
the
note,
yeah.
let's fail Rob. And his follow-up question was, can you put a link to that extension, please?
Oh, a link to that extension. Absolutely. I certainly will. Let me go.
I just dropped that link in the. Oh, okay.
Well, yeah,
I see it on my end.
I'm going to give you the proper link, though, that has my affiliate code in it. And why not? Because why shouldn't I make an extra 5%? But the bulk of this money goes to actually Mad Nomad GM who makes it. So that link is, let me scroll down for 6 minutes until I get to the bottom of the list. Hold on a second. Oh my God. Okay, so
I did just put your affiliate link in the Discord as well.
Oh, you did. Okay, so here's the true link to that extension, and I'll show it to people on stream again. Fantasy Grounds Mad Nomads Automatic Actions tab additions. There is a video that explains it all. But basically, when you, like I said, if you're building your character or leveling up or adding inventory, anything that you do in that regard will just automatically. So if you go build a first level fighter, when you switch to your actions tab, second wind and action surge or whatever, they'll already be there, or whatever you get at first level. And then if you add your inventory in, and you know somehow you're a first level fighter with a +1 longsword, it'll put the code in there, and that's how you do it. Actually, a +1 longsword wouldn't really have a code because it's just in the weapon, but you know what I mean. And so there's a video there that he made, and it's just awesome. And Layroon thought it should be $50, but we only put 10 because it's really, I mean, it's a game changer. I mean, I say that sometimes. I don't say that always. Some things are game changers. I personally think that my coding packages, I've been told, are game changers. And then some of the extensions that Mad Nomad and Matakuri and Diablo Bob and Kent McCullough have done have just really upped people's games. I mean, all this stuff is designed so that players and DMs don't have to, in most cases, don't have to communicate with each other unnecessarily. Because I remember that, I've been playing with Fantasy Grounds for 5 years. September of 15 is when I started. And I can remember early on, half the game was playing the game, and the other half was stopping to figure out what we were going to do to automate stuff. And basically, after a couple years, 2017 is when I really started getting heavy. Like, so it was about a year and a half after I started playing that I started actually making stuff. I mean, I started making stuff for the DMs Guild in January of 16, so only like 3 months after I started. And by the way, DMs Guild only started in January of 16, so I started right away with that. But the coding stuff didn't come till the next year when I got really serious and heavy into it. And for those that don't know the story was we would be playing and we would stop the game to code stuff, and people would be like, why do we care about this? And I'm like, oh, but you don't understand. We only have to do it once, We only have to do sneak attack once, and then we'll always have it. And then somebody said, it might have been Lazy Sooner, said, why don't you just do them all? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's a good one. And then everybody was like, no, seriously, just do it, and you can sell it on the DMs Guild. So it wasn't even my idea. I just took the 1,000 hours to complete the project and put it up there. And now, years later, we tweak and update and add and change, and then people started getting in with, Diablo Bob went crazy with the Druid thing, and Maticuri's all over sounds and a bunch of other stuff, and Kent did all the automated, sneak attack and automated flanking and automated this and that, and then Mad Nomad comes along, and he's got these 2 fantastic new things, plus his Xanathar's encounter generator, and all these guys are working on more stuff behind the scenes, so it just blew up into a crazy thing, and I'm so not only happy but grateful and humbled by these guys' genius. I am the least smart person on the team. I only happen to be first with the punch of getting those things out to the public, but I'm these guys are all way more knowledgeable than I am on this stuff. I just happen to get really lucky, and my favorite thing to tell everybody is I don't know how shit works. I just sell it. So
right,
I
Rob,
can sell stuff. I can't tell you how it works.
So on that note, do you want me to do one last round of question requests on
Yeah, absolutely.
Twitch?
Go for it. Remedies, thanks for the class. Oh, it went off the screen. Damn it. You're welcome, Robin.
That was thanks for the class. I've got to go do chores now.
Yep.
Chores. Drake says, I have a full-time job keeping up with mod and extensions on both Unity and Classic. He's doing 4 games. He's DMing 4 games.
So I did make sure to give Robin thanks for joining the stream since, since she delayed chores.
Yeah, she did. Robin's great. Robin's on, we have a show together on Wednesdays, just her and me. And then she's also a co-host of the Sunday show with Fury Feet. So we like her. She's not afraid for me to tell this story. I didn't know this. She was a lurker. I choose to use the word stalker, but she was a lurker in my Twitch channel for like 3 years and never said anything to me. And then one day she said something, and then we ended up becoming sort of friendly, and then we got on a stream together just kind of by accident, and she and I really meshed together, and so that's how she became sort of part of my whole Twitch thing. But she knew who I was 3 years before I knew who she was. It was funny.
That's hysterical, because that's about the time I think I started watching you too, Rob.
Back then, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but I was never scared to sit there and say something foolish in your chat.
No, you absolutely were not afraid of that at all. No, sir.
Yeah, and I've only been harassing you for like 2 months now.
I like it. People think I'm being a little sappy or whatever word you want to use, but at the end of all my streams, I do a big thing about how you can come to my Patreon or, go to the DMs Guild and all this kind of stuff. But I preface that with saying that if all you do is come and watch the game, that's all I care about. I don't care if you give me money. It's very nice. I mean, I like to get money, but my main whole reason for doing all this stuff is so people have a good time, and you know, that's why Doug decided to, you know, even though I'm not an employee of SmiteWorks, I'm part of their team, and I do get a monthly stipend to do that stuff I do for them. But I'm just a contractor. I'm not part of their staff or anything like that. And there's a couple other people. Lee House and Robert Aducci are also like that as well. And
Zordak 123 brought in. It looks like our last question here.
okay.
What is the resolution you are using to make the FG window so wide, Rob?
Thank you for asking that. Yeah, it's kind of a problem when I stream sometimes. So I have a 34-inch monitor, and it's an ultra wide curved monitor. Well, I was gonna put I don't have a link that I can use to show a picture. But anyway, so the resolution is 3440 by, hold on a second, I'll tell you what it is. 3440 by 1440, and I have my screen at 150%. I don't, this only affects like browser windows and stuff like that. It doesn't affect fantasy grounds. But yeah, 3440 by 1440 is what it is. It's recommended. So that's the answer to that.
So yep, he's running a 1440 monitor,
Yep.
ultra wide.
And
I have a question.
I do, when I make, if I ever do, I don't do this much anymore, but not as crazy like I used to. I think I have 51 modules in the SmiteWorks store. I don't do as many as I used to, but when I do that, I have to change my monitor resolution to, you know, 1920 by 1080 or whatever the regular normal human measurements are, because the screenshots don't work if they're so big like that. One more question. Did somebody say that a question? Go ahead.
Yes, I did. Actually, I was wondering, can you give us a sneak peek on your next project? I'm just curious.
So, my personal next project is nothing I can show, and that's not to be secretive. That's just because there's nothing to show yet. I have it only in my head. I have a couple in my head actually, but and I dare not say what they are, only because what I'm gonna do would be easy for anybody to do, and it's one of those, if I say the idea, somebody's gonna go beat me to it because I'm super lazy and take a lot of time. My main thing that I do all the time is help the team publish their works and or module creations that we do for other third-party authors, and the bulk of my time is spent updating and tweaking stuff and fixing stuff and stuff like that. So I'm not like behind the scenes furiously working away on some secret project. However, what I can say is that Diablo Bob and Mad Nomad for sure, and most likely Maticuri for sure, and most likely Kent, the four main creators that do their own original stuff under the sort of Team Twohy umbrella, all have stuff they're working on, but you'd have to ask them what they want to release or not. I can give you one. Mad Nomad, who's the guy that did the stats, the party sheet stats and the individual character sheet stats. How many hits did I get? How many times have I been knocked out? How much have I healed? How much have I been healed? How many crits? How many fumbles? All those stats. The guy that did that, and it's the same guy that also made the new thing that I just showed from today, that puts all the action stab stuff automatically. He's working on an enhanced character sheet that does a few really cool things, such as on your inventory tab, when you have a big long list of inventory and you have to go, how much money do I have? You have to scroll all the way down. He's going to put that treasure stuff up top. He's also going to pre-populate it with CP, SP, GP, PP, EP, right? So you don't have to do that. Man, I'm not even going to be able to go over all the stuff he's going to do. He is adding... Wow, I can't believe that's the least cool thing it does. I just can't remember all the stuff it does. It puts your XP, it puts this information on the front. It puts it like right here. XP level and all that is right there, so you don't have to open that thing to look at it. And it will also implement the same thing that we already have in another extension, which is the automatic XP number adding, and players can't change it or edit it and stuff like that. And these are all options that you can turn on or off. Man, if only he were here, I could give you some more stuff. But it's going to be really cool, and that's only days away. It's only coming up pretty soon.
So Rob, I think I'll toss in a question at you here while you're digging around for.
One second. Also, it adds here thieves tools. All the stuff that you find yourself going here and saying, I need to open this, add this, type in, gaming set or whatever. All that stuff you find yourself having to add there is already in there. It's already just going to be pre-programmed in there. Thieves tools, of course, would be the most popular one. Go ahead, Bofram.
All right. So, is this already working on Unity, like the your coding sets, or is that still in the process of being updated? Or
so far, yeah, the big thing with Unity, I'm sure everybody or most people understand, is that it's still a beta product and they keep changing it. So I get that question all the time about stuff on the DMs Guild, like, does this work in Unity? And my answer is always the same. It should, but it's not a final product, so we have to wait. But that I have received, not even one person has told me that my coding effects don't work in Unity, so I know those all do. And most of the extensions that we put out do, or if not all of them. And if they don't, they're very clear about it. Like Diablo Bob's crazy portals and what are all this stuff that he does. I mean, he's deep into like XML and all this other back end. He's not making anything he makes. He's not making it in Fantasy Grounds. He's programming it for Fantasy Grounds, and he does it all in XML and whatever. I don't know. That's why I say I don't know how that stuff works. But if something doesn't work in Unity, there'll be like really clear giant red letters that says, don't buy this for Unity yet, or whatever. But most things, I'd say 95% of everything we sell on the DMs Guild works or should work with Unity, but it's a futile effort for us to do any tinkering with stuff that might not work yet, because the minute we go fix it, they'll change Unity so it doesn't work again. So we have to just kind of wait things out. Yeah.
For example, with the solo adventures that were done, which I highly recommend to people, if you can't get into a gaming group but you're looking for a way to practice your Fantasy Ground skills.
Yeah, the solo adventures should work. I think I had one guy email me that said he couldn't do something with the solo adventures in Unity, and I'm not sure. I don't even really remember what he said to me, because I tend to just my eyes glaze over and my ears reduce 50% of the sound when somebody says the word Unity to me, because it's like if you said, "Hey, is Madden 25 going to work on my Xbox right now?" Well, it might, but it's not designed to do that for 4 more years. You know what I mean? Like, it's and don't think I don't know math. I know 2020 and 2025 is 5, but remember they come out a year before, so it is 4. So just don't test me. But yeah, so again, the basic thing to remember about Fantasy Grounds modules that are sold on DM's Guild and the extension is that they all should perfectly work in Unity, but they might not. And if they don't, we can't really do anything about that until the product is finalized. Because if we change something to make it work today, tomorrow when they update it, it might not work again. So things that are way more complicated or that have different things with graphics and maps and stuff like that might be some problems. But I know all the coding packages and most of the extensions all work in Unity because they don't really affect graphics or maps or stuff like that, which is where you run into problems with Unity because it's differently coded.
Gotcha. So the long and the short is, try it on Unity. If it doesn't work, make sure that Unity is in its final is in a release state before heading to your server to report an issue.
Right. Yes, once Unity's released and it says final product on it, which of course is never, with Fantasy Grounds, never the final product because they always update and add stuff anyway. But once it's considered to be released as a finished item, then we can address things that don't work. Which I'm assuming there won't be very many of, but there'll probably be a few, and then we can easily go and see what's, how to fix that.
And then we get to see streams of you like doing line of sight maps.
Oh, well,
Oh,
line of sight maps have already been done for Unknown Whom and Unknown Whom 2, the only two products I've personally made that are anything except like coding or tools, right? And I actually, I know I'm gonna get that question eventually, but like when we do conversions for other people, we do not put line of sight occluders in there.
okay.
I haven't quite decided how. Usually, what you do, and SmiteWorks is actually doing this too. They're doing. I think they're doing all the WotC and Paizo products and making sure those are done themselves. Like someone on staff is doing that. But for the most part, it's a volunteer effort. It's a community volunteer. Like the Unknown Whom occluders were done by someone in the community. I did not do them. And so we've got 312 items on the DMs Guild, many of which are adventures that, we didn't write, that we just converted for the author. And are those going to have line of sight occluders on the maps? Well, if somebody decides they want to do it, yes. Are we going to do it? Most likely not. And that I think is going to be the standard. I don't think going forward we're going to include line of sight occluders in our conversions, because that is a severe amount of work and not really worth the time to go back and do 200 titles or whatever it might be. But if somebody buys the module and they play it and they put the occluders in and they send it to us, we'll add it in.
So for doing that, if they wanted to participate, they would throw their map up on the Fantasy Grounds forum, or would it be better to turn in their occluder information onto your server?
No, just
for
to
for
me,
your DM Guild product.
I think what I might do is this seems to be a fair thing to do for a person. If they are thinking about getting an adventure, I don't know if I should say that. Let me think about if I want to commit to this. Yeah, I think I can commit to this. If someone wants to do the line of sight for any of the things we have on DM's Guild that isn't done already, I would give them a free copy of said work so that they could do that, and then they would have it. And then that would be kind of like their payment for taking their time to do it. And it seems that would be fair, because usually the number of maps in a thing is commensurate with the price. So if there's 2 maps, it's only going to be like $2 or $3, but if there's 30 or 40 maps, it's going to be way more expensive, and they'll get that item free. The problem with my little deal there is a lot of people would maybe already have the item, and so how would I they would just do it out of the goodness of their heart. There would be really no way to compensate them. So yeah, and then again, this is just me thinking out loud, live on stream, backing myself into a corner. But that's probably probably like if somebody saw something on the DM's Guild and they'd be like, "Oh, I'd really like to buy this. This looks really cool, but does it have line of sight Unity occluders in it?" Which the answer now is no, unless it's Unknown Whom 1 or 2. But if they said, I want to get this, so I'll email Rob and say I'll do the occluders for this if you give it to me, then I would do that.
I would probably sit there and have a minimum turnaround time too.
Yeah, and also if you pay the hooker before the sex, then she could just leave. So what I'm saying is, that was a super bad analogy about giving somebody a free module and then they just don't do the work. But they're if they're that criminally minded, more power to them. And actually, it would probably see, that's why I wasn't sure I wanted to commit to that, but because it would have to be case by case, and if I know the person, it's easy. It's obviously going to be easy to just give it to them if I know them. But if it's a stranger that says, "Hey, could you give me Call of the Deep, which I don't want to pay $60 for? I'll do the occluders for you." Well, yeah, I don't know, you guys. I don't know. I wasn't intended to think about that question today.
Sven threw a suggestion. You could also always just the maps only, and then the module when they send back the occluder information.
Yeah, Yeah, but you can't really do that because the maps have to be
Right.
in the module. Yeah, you'd have to send them the whole thing.
Yeah. Copyright info.
All right. Any other questions, everybody? How many people did we have in the?
We peaked at 20
Okay.
on Twitch.
I might have a question if you don't mind.
Sure, go for it.
Here's this is kind of a silly question, and it's a resource intensive one. It's not likely to happen, but I'm gonna shoot anyway.
Okay.
Have you ever thought about doing like random map tiles and creating like a Rob Twohy's random map generator? Like if you want to do a tomb or something, just throw out a surprise random map already popped together. I love the Xanathar's random encounter generator. That was brilliant. That the other guy made. That was just
Yeah.
bloody brilliant. But I was wondering if you guys would have thought about doing the same with like a map.
I thought about it, and I thought about that maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but I have zero idea how I would implement that. That would have to be somebody that's way more in tune with how that
Rob.
kind of stuff goes. But yeah, it's a great idea. I wouldn't know personally how to do that.
Hold up.
Hey, Rob,
wait a second. Maticure is going to need you to hold his beer.
He's gonna do it.
Well,
He's gonna do it right now.
No, actually, that's not currently possible. Moon Wizard basically said on the forums that they haven't built out any of the underlying image manipulation APIs yet. So until they do that, that sort of thing is not possible. Now, once they implement image manipulation APIs that allow us to, say, grab images and create on-the-fly maps, then that sort of thing will be possible. But for right now, it's just not something that's built in capability wise.
Okay,
At least
cool.
with not.
Thank you for answering that. And by the way, when that does become available, I know the first person that's gonna jump on it.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be really cool. And I thought of all kinds of, I basically, I mean, my idea was you put a headset, you put 2 little nodes on your temple, and with separated or connected with like a band, like a small, a little tiny version of headset, gaming headset, but it just goes on your temples. And then it's a USB that feeds into your computer and connects to Fantasy Grounds. And you just sit there and you look at your screen and you just think about what you want it to do. Oh, roll initiative. I'm going to move
All right.
6 spaces to the right and attack the ogre.
And then
play the whole thing in your head.
Thoroughly covered here, or anything else you'd like to say out to Twitch land?
Thank you everybody for attending. And if you're watching on YouTube, sorry you couldn't be there live, but I hope this has helped you. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube and you've watched a video for an hour and 35 minutes, what planet do you live on? I don't think people on YouTube go through the whole thing. But anyway, yes, I do want to thank Leroon and the college for inviting me, and thank you other guys for moderating for me. That was great. And thanks to people on Twitch for watching live. And I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something. I hope that it helps you to at least better understand how you can really just get deep into automation with your own creations, your own magic items, or your own spells or feats or class traits or race traits or whatever you do. And I do encourage you to purchase the items on DM's Guild if you think it'll help your games. I know some DMs buy it and split the cost with their group or whatever you want to do, but I've got, for the last 3 years, I've got nothing but positive results. You can read the reviews online. You can go to the Fantasy Grounds forums. You can look at discussions in Discord, like Fantasy Grounds College Discords or Discords that aren't even mine. My name pops up other places that I see sometimes, and I'm like, wow, people are on Reddit. People just really seem to enjoy it. So I appreciate the opportunity to teach the class, and hope everybody liked it. And I guess we should give out my Discord in case people want to come to me directly.
Yep.
We can do
I was
that.
going to suggest where can let people know where they can find you, what you do.
Yeah. So if you want to find me on the socials or on the internet, ROB the number 2E, Rob Twohy. You can basically punch that into Google for anything. It's my Twitter. It's my website. It's my Twitch. It's everything. Rob Twohy. The spelling of my last name is somewhat jacked up. You see here on screen. This name here is just outrageous. But it's just the number 2 and then H. Who knows why that's there? And then Y. You throw the H out. Twohy. But yeah, let me get my Discord invite link real quick for you guys, and I'll post it in the chat.
I just dropped it in
Oh,
Classroom
you did?
1
Okay,
for you.
great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Boom. And if you'd put that in the Twitch chat for them too, that'd be great.
Yep. Also going to follow up. You can catch Rob on what days are you streaming?
So Sunday night we do the All Things Fantasy Grounds talk show. Tuesday, at least through the end of this month, and possibly longer, but at least for the next couple weeks, and we've been doing it for a couple months, we do the 5e pickup games, which is where anybody can just show up and play. And Wednesday is Round Robin, which is Remedies and I have a show. And then Friday is Dungeon of the Mad Mage as DM'd by Joe Numbers. And Saturday is currently Rick and Morty as DM'd by Svenster77. And that's going to wrap up here in a couple weeks. And starting September 12th, we're going to go. Drake is going. This is still on my channel. Drake is going to DM the new Iceland adventure that's coming out. So lots of cool stuff. And we give away prizes on my channel. And most times, if it's a game, if it's a 5e game that's being played, we do XP participation in the chat. So if you're just watching the show, your XP accumulates. And then you can manipulate the game by buying potions of healing or giving players or monsters advantage or disadvantage. You can throw in a random monster. We try to make a channel where people can actually play the game with us even though they're not playing. And some of you guys have done that. You guys all come and use your XP to screw up the game and stuff, so it's fun. But yeah, that's all I have. I'm glad I was able to answer everyone's questions. And yeah, feel free to come to Discord. And my Discord has about 1,300 people in it. And Mad Nomad and Matakuri and Diablo Bob and Kent McCullough, all the guys that are creating all these fantastic extensions and modules, they all have their own channels in my Discord. So if you have specific questions about their products, you can come and talk with them directly.
Outstanding. So I'll let you carry it away. Rob, thank you so much for doing this for the college. We really appreciate you. You've been an outstanding and great supporter of us from the beginning. And thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you guys. And I'll go ahead and end the stream. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thanks for.
All right. There we go, everybody. We're back, Robin.
Woot.
Woot. So yeah, that was like a what? Oh, the YouTube. Stop. That was like a 45-minute class and then or 50-minute class and then another 50 or 55 minutes of discussions. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. Now I am going to give away a prize before we end the stream. And guys, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask them. We were watching that whole time and we were cracking wise, but we were answering your questions. Turn up your mic, she says. Why is it? Why? What? Why? What? Why?
What?
Is it really that low? Does everyone think my sound is lower, my voice, or is it just Belle who's the only one that ever complains about it? Which one is it, everybody?
Aww.
Yeah, I think Belle. I think you constantly say you can't hear me, but I think you're the only one. So it might be something with your, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Good. So let's give away a prize. Should we, Robin?
You're so mean. I mean,
totally
yes,
mean.
Give away a prize.
No, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't trying to be like.
I'm
not picking on her, but she like the last 3 streams, she said something about the sound, but no one else says anything about the sound. So I want to say that I think it might be on her.
Oh,
computer.
maybe I'm just. Yeah. Rammer says I'm loud. So maybe I'm just loud in comparison to you. Turn me down. I'm always like right up on my mic.
Let's check it.
Because I have like a condenser mic, so.
All right, we'll turn you down a little bit. I want to turn you down to 85%, but I can only get 84 or 87, and I have OCD, so I can't do it. I have to turn it to 80.
Put me at 80.
Okay. Someone else did say it? Okay, Bella. Yeah. Well, I mean, I got my sound at the same level that I've always had it for 4 years, so I don't know what would be wrong.
Oh, look at my glasses. They're so cute, Rob.
Oh, yeah. Let's look. These are the glasses. These are the glasses, Robin. Those are cute.
Them. They're super cute. They'll be here in like 2 weeks.
We won't be able to see
Because
the
they got to
rainbow
make my
arms.
prescription and all that. I
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
but they're so cute.
All right, so what I'm going to do, everybody, is I'm going to do a keyword raffle here. And I'm going to give away anything you want that has my name on it on the DMs Guild. And I don't normally do this, but I'm going to include packages. So if you want the 4 solo adventures, as was mentioned, you can get that. If you want the coding packages with all the code, you can get that. So you can get anything including a package. So this could possibly be worth... This could be big money for somebody. The keyword is going to be...
Away?
Huh?
Which one are you giving away?
I'm giving away anything they want on DM's Guild.
Anything they want.
But normally
okay.
I restrict I restrict it I restrict it to no packages. Yeah, so here we go, everybody. I'm going to start it. The keyword is big money, exclamation point, big money. All one word, everybody. And
Big
I will run a
money.
minute timer. I listen to that song all the time, Rush. Big money goes around the world. So then I'll do that and I'll give away a prize. And thanks to the new people for showing up, and thanks everybody for watching. We are gonna play Jackbox. No whammies, stop. We are gonna play Jackbox games after the stream, and what we'll do is we'll stop the stream for like 5 minutes or so and then restart it. And we do that because we put the show on YouTube, but we don't put the Jackbox games on YouTube. So feel free to stick around and play that with us, guys, because Robin and I like to kick everyone's ass. But not really. We can have up to 10,008 players. So literally everybody watching right now can play with us if you'd like to do that. And you can prepare by going to jackbox.tv right now and getting ready to sign in. And you do have to sign in with your Twitch account if you've never done it before, so just get ready.
Cheer bits in the stream. Thanks for the cheer bits.
Gorvidal, thank you, sir. Gorvidal always cheers 1050. That's like his consistent number that he does. 1050. I like it. All right, let's see who wins. The winner is Sick of Salmon. All right, Sick of Salmon. Salmon. I don't know that he or she or Attack Helicopter. We don't want to upset anybody. I don't know that they've ever been on my Discord, so I will give you the link, Sick of Salmon. And go to the Discord and just send me a private message, and then I will tell you what you need to do to claim your prize. And there you go, everybody.
I love you, man.
Sick of Salmon's been around for a while.
Yeah, he's been around, but he's not. I don't think he's ever won a prize though. Journeyman, thank you for the sub, Journeyman. So, any questions, guys? Any questions about the class or something that I covered you weren't sure about, or any questions about anything? I mean, really. I know he's like, oh my fucking god, I won something. It sounds like you might have turned away from the stream for a second because your OMFG was a little delayed. So yeah, so go to that Discord link, Sick of Salmon, and send me a private message in there, and then I'll take care of you. Well, I'll issue your prize. Let's just calm down, everybody. Congratulations.
I love you, man.
Oh, he's already done it. There he is, Sick of Salmon. So yeah, his avatar is like a woman's face. I'm assuming it's a he. It might not be. It's a woman's face with like salmon as a mask. It's insane.
Interesting.
So did anybody have questions? No, I don't think they did. They're like, it's enough of this already.
Big questions. Like, what's the answer to life?
The answer to life is kidding. I mean, if you're you say 42 if you're a Hitchhiker's fan, right?
Uh-huh.
Which I am not. So
Great
I always
movie. And I don't even watch that many movies, and I love Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, with Sam Rockwell. I did see the movie. Yeah, I liked it. I'm just not I'm not really a reader. I don't read per se. So I don't
I read a lot too.
Big books that everybody loves, and I can't. But
right?
I will say Yeah, see, here we go. The book is better. The book is always better. You know what? The book is never better because you can't see the book. You can't hear the book.
But you use your
Unfollow.
mind to see. Just like
Fucking A.
playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's not that different.
Yes, but why do you think I like Fantasy
Well, I
Grounds
guess.
so much? Because you can see it and you can
I
hear
know, battle maps and tokens and blah 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 blah. Okay.
it. But what I was gonna say
Moby
was,
Dick is a great book and you should read it.
which one?
Moby Dick.
Oh,
Moby Dick.
they call me Ishmael.
Read it.
I'm out.
It's a great book. Captain
Um,
Ahab.
what was I gonna? Oh, now I forgot. Something about.
Fucked you up.
Yeah, you fucked me up. You fucked me up. Okay, so nobody has any questions. Now it's just fuckery time, which good. We'll just hang on and I'll stop the stream and we'll bring it back and then we'll do continual fuckery during the games.
Rammer said Moby Dick is boring. What?
I'm not uneducated. I mean, they call me Ishmael. I know that, right? I haven't even read the book and I know that. I mean, come on. I'm not dumb. I'm just unwilling to read. I'm unwilling. All right. I think that's it, everybody.
Cheerbits. Cheerbits in the stream. Thanks for the cheerbits.
Sick of
We'll be
salmon.
back for Jack
Sick of
Frost
salmon.
stream.
Just I love saying that. I'm totally messing up that name, and I keep saying he, but I don't know. You have to tell me if you're a man or a woman, or if you prefer not to know, because I just.
Or if you prefer gender neutral too. We're cool.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want, and I'll follow along. How do you know if you have the original? I don't know what's happening. All right, I'm gonna end the stream, and we'll be back in 5 minutes or so, everybody. Until then, good gaming, everyone.